The warning came in a whisper, just static at first. High Commander Kirix sat on the obsidian bridge of the Aurora's judgment, watching the stars drift by in perfect silence. Around him, his crew of Varelian officers worked in calm coordination. The Varelians were cold, brilliant, and ancient. They had not known war in over 600 years. They didn't need to. The Veil Accord ruled this quadrant of the galaxy without challenge. Every known species served under its rule. Every system followed the Accord's code. Order, obedience, silence. But silence was no longer safe. "Sir," came the voice of Sensor Officer Leth. Her glowing fingers danced across the bioscreen, picking up something strange. In the silence belt. Kirix frowned. The silence belt was a dead zone. Nothing there but collapsed stars, gravitational scars, and drifting radiation. No planets. No life. No threats. Define strange. "It's a pattern, sir. A signal but fractured. Like an echo. But it's moving." He stepped forward, long robes brushing against the polished floor. "Show me." The main display bloomed open like a flower of light. At first, it was nothing, just the usual swirl of static and stellar noise. Then faint pulses appeared. A line, a curve, a spiral, a signal repeating. It was moving. "Is it ours?" Kirix asked. Leth shook her head. "Not in any Accord registry. No species we've logged transmits like this." Kirix leaned closer. "Send a recon drone. High-speed approach. Full scan." The order was sent. Minutes later, the drone shot into the belt like a silver dart. As it crossed the radiation field, its systems struggled. Static swelled. Visuals blurred. But then an image. One frame. A ship. No lights. No emissions. No engine glow. Just a massive vessel drifting in the dark like a corpse. Metallic. Scarred. Covered in impact damage. No name, no signature. And yet, somehow, it was moving. Then the screen went black. The drone was gone. Leth turned to Kirix, her expression pale. There was something carved into the side of the hull, before it cut out. What did it say? She brought up the enhanced still frame. The image flickered, fuzzy, but the letters were there, Old Earth script, unknown to the Accord's common tongue. Ghost 01. Kirix stared. Humans. A word spoken like a curse. The humans had vanished 300 years ago, driven from civilized space. After refusing Accord submission, they were declared extinct. No sightings, no contact. Their name had faded into rumor and myth. Barbarians, the historians had called them. Short-lived, reckless, an evolutionary dead end. But now, a signal, and a ship. "Mobilize Fleet Wing 7, Kirix ordered, voice like ice. "We're going hunting." 3 days later, 12 warships entered the silence belt, their hulls gleaming like blades. No resistance, no traps, but the signal was still there, pulsing, always ahead, always just out of reach. Then it stopped. The fleet arrived at the source. An empty star system, a collapsed sun, just a black dwarf and spinning rocks. But there, at the center of it, was another ship. Much bigger. Dark metal. No lights. No visible weapons. It looked like a wreck. But it was intact. Silent. Waiting. The Accord hailed it. No response. "Perhaps they are dead," one captain said. "Perhaps it's bait," said another. Kirix raised a hand. "Scan for emissions." The results returned in seconds. 0 power signatures. 0 heat. 0 life signs. Kirix narrowed his eyes. Then who sent the signal? The ship opened its eyes. It began to glow, not with energy, but with light bending around it. Shapes shifted. Surfaces twisted. Suddenly, it was no longer one ship. It was 5, then 10, then dozens. Everywhere the Varelians looked, more ships appeared from nowhere. Each identical, each silent, each bearing a name etched in Earth script. Ghost 02, Ghost 03, Ghost 77. The fleet was surrounded. All ships, prepare for engagement. Kirix snapped. Weapons charged. Shields raised. And still, the ghost fleet made no move. Then, a voice. Not over comms. Not through the bridge speakers. But inside every officer's mind. A simple, calm voice. You pushed us into the dark. We made it our home. Kirix gritted his teeth. How are they speaking through the neural net? No one knew. The voice returned. Do not follow. Do not chase. This is your only warning. Kirix stood tall, trying to calm the spike of fear in his veins. Fire! 1,000 energy lances surged through space, cutting through the vacuum toward the ghost ships, and passed through them. Nothing hit. They vanished like smoke. Only empty space remained. Then, just one ship appeared again. Closer this time. Its hull shimmered strangely. It began transmitting, again in that dead language. But the translation came through. You thought we were gone. You were wrong. Then the stars blinked. Literally. Not dimmed. Blinked. Power on every Varelian ship went dark for exactly 4 seconds. When lights returned, the enemy ship was gone. But not before every ship had one new file on its system. Inserted without access. Marked with one phrase. Phase 1. Complete. Kirix stared at the screen, heart pounding. For the first time in centuries, the Accord had no answers. And the galaxy had a new fear. The humans were back. And they had learned how to become ghosts. The command center of the Aurora's judgment stayed quiet for almost an hour. No one spoke. No one dared. The ghost ships had vanished without a trace. The sensor grid showed only the black dwarf star, spinning slowly at the center of the system, and the wrecked probe drifting uselessly through space. Admiral Kirix stood near the viewport, hands folded behind his back, his expression tight. Around him, his officers waited for orders. The silence was not normal. Not on a warship this size. Even during deep patrols, the bridge usually buzzed with quiet reports, mechanical hums, and the soft hum of systems working in the background. But now, even the air felt still. Run another sweep, Kirix finally said. Search for residual drive signatures. Anything. Leth worked quickly. Her fingers danced across the light screen again, but the results came back the same. No trails, no emissions, no signs of FTL travel. It's like they vanished into the void. Ships that size can't just disappear, Kirix growled. Even cloaked, they'd leave distortion behind. Leth turned, her voice careful. Not if they're not using known technology. Another officer, Captain Varn, stepped forward. With respect, sir, we need to consider the possibility that the humans have developed something beyond our models. Kirix spun to face him. Primitive species don't out-engineer the Accord. They've had 300 years, Varn replied, calm but firm. 3 centuries in the worst regions of space. If they survived, it's because they found ways to adapt. And if they adapted, who knows what they've built? Kirix didn't respond. He stared back at the viewport, watching the dark star rotate. Something felt wrong. Deeply wrong. They sent a message, Leth said quietly. A warning. That means they're watching. Somewhere. That word stuck with him. Watching. They wanted us to see them, Kirix muttered. That wasn't an ambush. It was a demonstration. But a demonstration of what? Captain Varn asked. Kirix turned toward the bridge crew. We find out. The next 2 days passed in tense silence. The fleet spread out across the sector, scanning every asteroid, shadow, and signal burst. But the ghost fleet did not return. There were no more warnings. No sightings. Just quiet space. Until a mining relay went dark. Outpost 4 Gamma. A small asteroid mining station at the edge of the Accord's influence. It stopped transmitting during a routine resource update. It wasn't unusual for small outposts to lose signal for a few minutes. Dust storms, solar interference, stray micro-impacts, any of those could knock a transmitter out for a while. But not for 7 hours. And not with full crew on board. Kirix ordered a fast-response frigate to jump in and investigate. The ship arrived. 3 minutes later, it jumped back out. And every officer on board was silent. The captain's report was only 4 words. They were inside it. Inside the rock. Inside the station. Not blasting from space, not attacking with visible weapons. The ghost ships, or their people, had infiltrated the mining colony. No signs of entry. No breaches. Just empty suits. Tools still warm. Every single worker, gone. No bodies. No blood. Just a final message etched into the station wall. This is Phase 2. Kirix slammed his fist onto the console. They're trying to scare us. They're succeeding, someone whispered. But fear wasn't new to Kirix. He had led peacekeeping operations in rogue sectors, put down rebellions on ice worlds, crushed entire civilizations that dared challenge Accord rule. He didn't scare easy. We escalate, he said. Alert the core. Mobilize 3 more wings. Prepare all forward colonies. And the council? Varn asked. They'll want proof before panic, Kirix replied. We give them proof. The order was given. 6 hours later, Fleet Wing 9 made contact with another human vessel, this time in the Maverdrift. It was alone, small, barely 600 meters long. Looked like it was built from scavenged hull parts and spare mining equipment. It just floated there, near a gas giant's rings. The fleet surrounded it easily. Standard procedure. Kirix ordered a comm hail. This time it worked. A voice came through. Mail. Comm. Clear. Spoke perfect Accord standard. This is Commander Elias Horn of the Terran Phantom Directive. The voice echoed across every ship in the fleet. You are trespassing in sovereign human space. Please turn back. Kirix leaned forward. You have no claim here. The Accord owns this region by treaty. Earth was removed from the register. The voice answered without pause. And Earth removed itself from the galaxy. We didn't die. We evolved. Kirix narrowed his eyes. This isn't a negotiation. Good, Horn replied. Then we won't waste time. The human ship vanished from sensors. 2 seconds later, the lead Accord frigate exploded. No energy reading. No projectile trace. Just gone. The fleet opened fire blindly. Beams of plasma and quantum bolts tore through space in every direction. But there was nothing to hit. Then every ship received a single image on their main display. The face of a human child. Dirty. Quiet. Staring straight into the camera. And underneath, a new message. We are the forgotten. And we remember everything. Kirix stood frozen. This wasn't a skirmish. It was a reckoning. The council chambers on Accord Prime were never quiet. Even during war planning, voices argued, calculations buzzed across light screens, and advisors whispered into comlinks. But today, silence hung in the air like smoke. Admiral Kirix stood before the High Council, still wearing the battle-worn cloak from the Aurora's judgment. Dust from the mining colony still clung to his boots. He hadn't slept in over a day. 12 counselors watched him from their high seats, floating above the floor in thin silver thrones that glowed with soft green light. The room was built to make visitors feel small. Kirix didn't care. They have returned, he said, voice steady. The humans are no longer primitive, no longer scattered. They've built something dangerous. Ghost ships and shadows, scoffed Counselor Thalen, a pale-skinned elder with eyes like frosted glass. This sounds like stories to frighten children. They destroyed a fleet ship with no visible weapons, Kirix replied. They infiltrated a sealed station without triggering any alerts. They're sending warnings we don't understand. And they're doing it all without leaving a trace. Counselor Averon leaned forward. If what you say is true, then why haven't they attacked directly? Why the games? Kirix didn't answer at first. He looked down, remembering the child's face on the screen. Because they want us to know they could, he said finally. But they're not finished yet. That sentence rippled through the chamber. Counselor Athari spoke next. She was younger than the others, but known for her strategic mind. So what is their goal? Revenge? Territory? They're still a minor power by numbers. Even if they've advanced technologically, they can't match the Accord. Kirix shook his head. I don't think they care about numbers. I think they care about one thing. The room leaned in, making sure we remember them. Silence again. Then Counselor Thalen stood, tapping a long metal rod to the floor. Then let us remind them of their place. We will send the Eastern Armada. 100 ships. Full assault. Destroy their hidden colonies. Shatter whatever they've built. Ithari frowned. And if that's exactly what they want? Thalen sneered. You give them too much credit. They were insects when we found them. 10,000 years of Accord superiority will not be undone by a few tricks and stolen tech. Kirik spoke softly. If you send that fleet, prepare to lose it. But they didn't listen. The order was signed before nightfall. The largest Accord strike group in a century launched toward the sector now marked Disputed Human Zone. 102 ships, battle cruisers, siege carriers, and the dreadnought Sovereign Edge. Enough firepower to flatten an entire region of space. The people cheered. The fleet vanished. Not destroyed. Vanished. No signals. No wreckage. No return. The last transmission was a 2-second burst, audio only. It said, Phase 3 has begun. Panic spread. Worlds near the Silence Belt began evacuating. Civilian freighters scrambled to leave orbit. Military stations locked down. But no attack came. No bombs. No invasions. Only silence. But this time it felt different. Felt like the silence was watching. On one edge world, a farming planet called Meta 6, entire towns woke up to find their power systems rewritten. Accord-controlled systems now bore human interfaces. Every screen displayed a simple countdown. 72 hours. That was all. No explanation. Just time ticking down. Kirix watched it unfold from the Aurora's judgment, now stationed in high orbit above Accord Prime. His hands rested on the armrests of his command chair, but he didn't feel in control. He had seen invasions. This was not an invasion. This was pressure. Invisible. Unstoppable. From the far corners of the galaxy, old voices started to stir. Subjugated species that had lived under Accord control for generations began sending questions to their sector governors. Are the humans offering protection? Is it true they're back? Can we speak with them? And across those outer systems, strange things began to happen. Drones went offline. Satellite networks began to glitch. Accord signals were replaced by whispers. Actual whispers. Hundreds of overlapping human voices, saying only one phrase, over and over, You left us behind. Back in the council chamber, Kirix faced the ruling seat again. We have to speak to them, he said. Open dialogue. Find out what they want before more ships disappear. Counselor Thalen slammed his rod again. No, we do not negotiate with primitives. Kirix didn't flinch. They are not primitives anymore. We are the Accord. Kirix looked him straight in the eye. Not anymore. Outside the crystal walls of the Capitol Dome, the stars began to flicker. Not from any failure in the sky, but because something vast had moved into orbit. Something massive. Something no one had detected. Not until it wanted to be seen. A single human ship now floated above Accord Prime. Silent. Dark. Waiting. It hovered above Accord Prime like a shadow no one could explain. The human ship didn't broadcast a signal. It didn't show up on any sensors until it was already there. It didn't fire weapons or give demands. It just waited. Kirix stood on the command deck of the Aurora's Judgment, staring at the shape through the viewglass. The vessel was longer than most capital ships, but its surface was strange. Patched together with mismatched metals, armor plates that didn't match, and panels that shimmered like flowing oil. It had no glow, no visible engines, no signs of life. But it moved, just enough to show it wasn't dead. Kirix didn't blink. Is it charging weapons? His tactical officer shook her head. Negative. No energy buildup. No shield flares. But the power signature is wrong. Like it's everywhere at once. Everywhere at once? She hesitated. I don't know how else to say it, sir. It's like the ship isn't sitting still in normal space. The command bridge was silent except for the hum of data streams. Everyone watched that ship in the sky. No one knew what it was waiting for. No one knew if it was alone. Then, at exactly midday, it transmitted. Only one word. Talk. Just that. And only to Kirix. A direct, encrypted signal to his chair's neural port. He accepted. A voice came through, quiet, calm, male. Hello again, Admiral. Commander Horn, Kirix replied. You remember. You blew up one of my ships and sent a message through my brain. I'm not likely to forget. Fair point, the human said. There was a pause. Then the voice continued. We're not here to attack. Not unless you force us. Then why are you here? To make sure you understand. We've seen what your accord does. We know how it works. Control through fear. Colonies stripped of freedom. Species bent into your perfect order. Kirix clenched his fist. The accord brings peace. The accord brings silence, Horn corrected. But not the kind we want. Kirix stepped forward, facing the dark shape hanging above the planet. What do you want? Simple, Horn said. A choice. For every species. Including yours. A choice. Freedom or alliance. Step down from power or share it. That's what's coming. You expect the accord to surrender after one ship shows up? Horn chuckled softly. No, Admiral. I expect the accord to listen after one ship shows up. At that moment, every major screen on Accord Prime flickered. Every news feed, military terminal, and personal comm device showed the same thing. A map, not just of Accord space, but the entire local quadrant. Dots glowed red. Every Accord fleet, every secret base, every weapon satellite. And all of them were tagged. Not by the Accord, by the humans. Then a second image appeared, an outline of a ship far larger than the one currently in orbit. A design never seen before. Sleek, sharp, terrifying. We're not showing you everything, Horn said. Kirix felt the weight of that statement sink into his chest. We're calling this moment Phase 4, Horn added. The decision point. You're threatening galactic war. No, the human replied. We're giving you a way to avoid one. The call ended. The ship above Accord Prime vanished in the blink of an eye. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone, leaving behind nothing but silence and fear. Kirix turned to his officers. Get me Counselor Ithari. I don't care if she's asleep, training, or halfway across the planet. Now. Within an hour, he stood before the full council again. This time, their faces were pale, worried. No more shouting. No more pride. They've mapped us, he said. Every fleet, every weapon, every outpost. We didn't even notice. They can't have done this alone, one counselor whispered. They didn't, Kirix said. They've made allies. Ithari spoke next. Sir, long-range comms picked up encrypted pings from multiple breakaway colonies. Former Accord worlds. The humans have been speaking to them. Quietly. For years. Kirix nodded. This was never a surprise attack. This was a plan. The room was silent. Finally, Thalen spoke again, voice dry and bitter. What now? Kirix looked up, eyes hard. Now we have to decide. Do we keep pretending we're invincible? Or do we accept that the ghosts we buried didn't die? They just got smarter. The countdown on Meta 6 hit 0 the next day. But no attack came. Instead, the Accord's own emergency alert system flickered to life and played a message. A human child's voice, calm and clear. We are not your enemies. We just want to be heard. You erased us. Now it's our turn to speak. And for the first time in thousands of years, the people of Accord Prime listened. The message played everywhere. In schools, on transit hubs, in private homes, across starships and spaceports. We are not your enemies. We just want to be heard. And then nothing. No demands. No weapons. No threats. Just silence again. But it wasn't the same silence as before. This one was filled with questions. The citizens of Accord Prime were used to rules, order, answers. The Accord had always promised protection in exchange for control. But now their leaders had no answers. Their fleets had been outsmarted. Their systems had been cracked open by a force that didn't even want to conquer. They just wanted people to choose. That idea, choice, was more dangerous than any weapon. Admiral Kirix walked the halls of the Central Military Dome. He didn't wear his formal robes anymore. No medals, no polished boots. Just a simple uniform, plain and dark. People stared at him as he passed. Not in awe, in fear, in curiosity. He could hear the whispers. They let the humans in. Can we even trust the Accord anymore? Why won't they talk to us? Kirix entered the war room. Inside, Commander Varn and Counselor Ithari were waiting. The main display showed a map of current unrest across the outer systems. Dots blinked red and orange. 5 more colonies declared independence overnight, Varn reported. 3 of them cited the human message as the reason, said they're done living under fear. Ithari sighed. We've lost the edge. No one believes the Accord is untouchable anymore. Kirix didn't respond. He was staring at one specific signal, small and green. It marked a civilian research outpost on a radiation-soaked moon far outside known trade routes. Why is that one green? He asked. Varn looked. That's Station Helix. Used to be a weapons lab. Got abandoned a decade ago when the war budget was cut. It's active. I know. We were going to investigate. Then the human situation escalated. Kirix narrowed his eyes. Bring it up. The display zoomed in. Station Helix had no known crew, but it was running at full power. No official communication, but it was broadcasting a low-frequency pulse. A simple beacon, repeating every hour. Just 2 words. We remember. The same phrase found in hacked Accord records. The same message carved into that mining station's wall. I want a team sent there immediately, Kirix said. I'll go myself, Ithari said, surprising both of them. You're a counselor, Varn said. That's too dangerous. I'm also the only one willing to talk to the humans face to face, she replied. If this is where they're leading us, I want to know why. An hour later, a stealth shuttle left orbit and slipped into the void. It took 2 days to reach the moon. Station Helix floated alone, half buried under layers of rock and ice. Its exterior lights were dim, but inside, power flowed. Doors opened as the team approached, unlocked. No resistance. The interior was clean, cold, too clean for a place abandoned 10 years. Ithari and her guards moved slowly, weapons ready. But they found no humans, only recordings. Room after room filled with holos, files, and video logs, all showing the same thing. What had happened after humanity was exiled. Whole ships lost to radiation storms. Colonies failing. Children buried in frozen soil. Refugees building shelters out of crashed cargo hulls. And all through it, one emotion came through clear. They never gave up. In the final chamber, a hologram activated. It showed a tall human man, graying, tired, but strong. He looked directly at her. My name is Elias Horn. If you're seeing this, then you found us. She froze. We survived, he continued. You thought the edge of space would break us, but it made us harder, smarter, united. The image flickered, then sharpened. You took our home. We built new ones. You erased our names. We wrote them in stone. You said we couldn't survive without your rules. He smiled. But you were wrong. Then his face turned serious. We don't want war. We don't want revenge. But we do want truth. We want a galaxy where no voice is silenced. Not ours. Not anyone's. The message ended with a soft tone. A final text faded in above the empty projector. Phase 5 begins now. And then, as Ithari turned, the walls of Station Helix lit up with hundreds of tiny stars. Not stars. Coordinates. Locations across the galaxy. Each one marked. Supportive. Waiting. She swallowed hard. The humans weren't acting alone anymore. They had help. And it was growing. Ithari sat in the shuttle, staring at the glowing map in front of her. Coordinates. So many. Each one blinked softly in green. Symbols for colonies, outposts, and old fringe settlements. Some had been thought abandoned. Others were still listed as loyal to the Accord. But here they were, listed as supportive. Waiting for the humans. Or maybe, waiting for something else. The pilot turned to her. "Ma'am, message from Admiral Kirix. The Council wants immediate debrief when we land." Ithari nodded slowly, not taking her eyes off the map. "Tell him I've seen enough to know this is bigger than we feared." When they returned to Accord Prime, she was rushed into the council chamber. The other counselors sat straight, faces pale, voices tight. Kirix stood beside the main table. "Well?" Counselor Thalen asked. "Did you find humans there?" "No," Ithari said. "Just everything they wanted us to see." She activated the small data pad in her hand. The map projected into the air, spinning slowly above them all. "This is how far they've reached," she said. "Dozens of colonies, maybe more. Some were ours. Some were never part of anything. Now, they've all made a choice." "Based on fear," Thalen snapped. Ithari shook her head. "Based on hope." The room grew quiet. "They're not following the humans because of fear," she continued. "They're following them because humans offered something we never did: freedom, voice, dignity. After centuries of our control, people are tired. And so we just give up control?" another counselor asked. "No," said Kirix. "But we stop pretending we still have it." He stepped forward. "They didn't just spread technology or weapons. They spread belief. Quiet kind. A dangerous kind. They gave others the idea that things could be different. That the Accord isn't destiny." Counselor Thalen slammed his hand on the table. "Then it's time to end this rebellion." He turned to the display. "We still have the core armada. We still have the strength of the Central Defense Fleet. Send them all. Crush this now before more worlds join." "And if that's what they're waiting for?" Ithari asked. Thalen hesitated. "What? What if this is still part of their plan? Every time we respond with force, we prove their point. That we only know how to rule through fear." For a moment, no one said anything. Then the room's alarm lights flashed red. A message echoed across every speaker. "Inbound warp signatures. Multiple." The command center snapped into motion. Kirix and Ithari ran from the chamber toward the main control dome. When they reached it, the outer display showed space above Accord Prime. Ships. Human ships. Hundreds. Not attacking. Not firing. Just appearing. Forming a wall of metal and light across orbit. Kirix's tactical officer looked stunned. 217 vessels. All human design or human allied. Some are retrofitted from old Accord tech. Others are new. The largest ship moved forward. 15 kilometers long. Strange dark metal. Bending light. Barely visible outlines of weapons and glowing hull plates. A name scrolled across its side in old Earth text. TSV Prometheus. The main screen lit up. A human woman appeared. Dark uniform, calm eyes. Hair tied back. The room fell silent as her voice came through. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Terran starship Prometheus. We come with our fleet to open discussion." The entire command dome went silent. Chun continued. "We don't want your world. We don't want to rule. We want peace. But not the kind you offer. Not silence. Real peace. One with choices." Counselor Thalen pushed his way to the front. "You dare bring warships to our skies and speak of peace? We brought them because history taught us what you do to peaceful messengers," Chun said without anger. "So we came prepared." Kirix stepped forward. "What is this? A blockade? A warning?" "It's a door," Chun said. "It's your last one." She paused, then added, "We've shown restraint. We haven't used what we've built. We've held back. But we won't forever. This galaxy is changing, Admiral. Whether you accept it or not." Then the feed cut. The Prometheus held position. So did the entire Ghost fleet behind her. The Accord's last great stronghold was no longer alone in the sky. Kirix turned to Ithari. "What do we do?" She stared at the map. And then she said quietly, "We listen." For the first time in living memory, the Accord chose not to fire. And that silence meant something new. The human fleet stayed above Accord Prime for 3 full days. No shots fired. No demands made. Just the quiet presence of ships that should not exist, built from scrap and secrets, from exile and forgotten science. Ships that bent light, broke silence, and carried with them a story that had waited centuries to be told. Below, the streets of Accord Prime filled with whispers, not alarms. People asked questions. Why were they here? What did they want? Were they truly enemies? Or something else? Inside the council chambers, things had changed. Counselor Thalen no longer shouted. He sat quietly now, face pale, fingers tapping slowly on the table. His power, once solid and unquestioned, had begun to crumble under the weight of doubt. Ithari stood before the council, tall and calm. "We can no longer rule by force," she said. "We've seen what that leads to. Fear, rebellion, silence. The humans didn't defeat us with weapons. They defeated us with an idea. That we're not invincible. That others have a right to choose." Kirix nodded beside her. "We built walls around truth. They opened doors. The council was quiet. Then the message came. Captain Sarah Chun requested to meet. Not as a conqueror, not as a ruler, but as a guest. The council agreed. Reluctantly but unanimously. A landing field was prepared on the edge of the Accord capital. Thousands watched from rooftops and balconies as a sleek human shuttle touched down. Dark gray, with a glowing symbol on its side. A circle split in half, one side dark, the other light.